Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about transitions. Yes, this is a continuation of my series on transitions for the 180-degree rule or screen direction or crossing the line, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to talk about transitions, how to get from one angle of the line to the other side. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so the first one I want to talk to you about is a neutral shot. Now, this is a shot that is very commonly used when you want to go from one side to the other. And in this example here, we have a man walking his dog, and the dog is obviously on the left side of him, and we're behind him. So you can see right there, my little camera kind of shows you where the camera is, and he is going right to left. So if you look at the frame, he's walking right to left, right? So our neutral shot is going to be a head-on shot or a shot where he's walking towards camera. Now I have my arrows you're going to show that are going both directions. So a neutral shot could either be from behind neutral, where he's just going straight down the road, or from in front, like in this shot where he's walking straight towards the camera. So that would be your neutral shot, and that will get you to the other side where he's walking left to right. Okay, so and this would probably be for a movie where maybe it's from the dog's point of view, so that's why they're showing the dog featured in this shot. Okay, so here's another neutral shot, and this is from the movie Betting on the Bride with Carissa Lee Staples. Now, in frame one, we see her at the altar looking adoringly to her husband to the left, and he's looking adoringly to the right to her. That's all correct. And then as she starts to turn around, we widen out a little bit, and we see her parents on the right-hand side, and they're looking camera left to her as well. And right now they're just getting reactions of the parents and the husband of what is going on. We're not really seeing the bride's face until we get to the other side in frame two. Now in frame two, that's where we see her starting to run down the aisle. But if you notice that if we were to punch in frame two on the husband, he would actually be looking camera left to her. But because we are already in a close-up in frame one with the husband, it's such a short little, piece. They didn't want to jar it with another, all of a sudden changing his look in that frame two to get his reaction. So they just kept the look in frame one because it was kind of a continuous, oh my God, what is she doing? As opposed to if they were to change the look to the other side, it would be too jarring. They wanted it more fluid. So that's why they kept the look in frame one. Now, frame two is now on the other side of the line. So that's the neutral shot where she starts running towards camera, and she gets to the door of the church. And then we jump to scene three or frame three, where we continue her walk uh, towards down the walkway there towards the taxi. Now we're on one side of the line. We're still in a neutral shot with her. So now we can jump back to the other side to see the taxi coming in, to see her getting in. And then we can actually jump to the other side again because we're still in a neutral shot. That's the reason why we can jump back and forth, because we're still in neutral shots at that point. Okay, and yet another neutral shot here, same movie, and she is at the bar talking to this other guy, and in frame one, and then her friend comes up to the bar, so we're on the side of the line where the bar is. We're on the bar side of the line, and we decide, okay, we need to go on the other side because now they're going to exit out and we can't really see them from this angle walking away from camera. So what we did in frame two here is we went to a wide shot, And just as they are starting to turn to walk away, that's when they turn around and they start walking towards camera. So again, that is a neutral shot because they're walking towards camera, and you can cross the line at that point. Okay, now here's another example of how you can cross the line, but this method is when you actually cross the line in the shot. All right, so for example, this is obviously from The Wizard of Oz, and this is Mrs. Gulch, aka the Wicked Witch of the West. And she's driving down in her bike, and in the shot, we see her actually go from left to right. We see her coming around the corner, and she turns into the to park, and she turns right to left. So that's an example of how you can actually do chase scenes where you're actually, the car is actually running left to right, and we see him going down a curve, and we see him turn the other way to go down the road. Okay, so that's another way of crossing the line. Okay, and this is another example of the camera crossing the line, but in this situation, the camera is actually going to be panning around the subject to cross the line instead of the subject crossing the line in the shot. So in this shot here from La La Land, this is Emma Stone, we see that the camera starts on the left side of the frame where she's looking camera right to the guy. And then the camera is panning across his back, and we go to the other side of the line. And now she's looking camera left to the man. So this is another way of being able to cross the line when you use the camera actually in the shot to do it. Okay, so those are some examples of when the director wants to seamlessly cross the line without jarring the audience and make it, a very smooth transition. But what if the director deliberately wants to cross the line? What then? Okay, so here we are in the movie Hot Fuzz, and Simon Pegg is getting ready for his final battle scene. So the director wants to convey tension and energy. So what he's doing is he's doing quick cuts of him grabbing his ammunition and his guns, and putting on his belt and all of that stuff. And it's causing, because they're quick and they're all crossing the line, he basically is causing this tension and energy in the scene. So that's one reason why you would want to cross the line. Okay, so here's another example of where the director deliberately wants to cross the line. And in this situation, it's to emphasize emotional reactions. So, here's the famous scene from Anchorman where all the networks get together and they had that big, brawl in the street to kind of mimic the West Side Story scene. And so if you notice, I mean, obviously he's trying to emphasize the absurdity of it all. So when you have all these quick cuts, cutting from one to the other, people being thrown in and out of the scene, he's not concerned about the line at all. In fact, he wants to cross the line to create the chaos. The only time you'll see that there is some continuity there is when, like, they're throwing something out of the scene and it lands somewhere else, like that person that is thrown out, and then he lands on the car. Goes out right to left, and he lands on the car right to left. The trident, where he throws the spear right to left, and then it ends in somebody right to left. So those are the times when you really do want to make sure that the screen direction is followed. But everywhere else, they don't really care. Okay, so in this scenario, this is a scene that shows passage of time. Okay, now the director wants to show the progression of him getting dressed for to going out on the town. This is obviously the iconic scene from Saturday Night Fever where John Travolta is getting ready to go out and go dancing, and again, you don't have to worry so much about the passage, the different cuts, whether they cross the line or not. What you do have to worry about, though, is the progression of his dress. So, for example, he puts the chains on, and then he goes to the closet. Well, you want to make sure that when you shoot him at the closet, he has those chains on, because we just left him from putting on those chains to going to the closet. So that's what you do have to worry about is, when you're doing progression of time, make sure that, either the progression of dress is correct, or whatever, the progression is, it follows in continuity. Okay, so those are just a few ways of crossing the line, and I just touched on a very few of them in this scenario, whether you wanted to do it deliberately or you wanted to do it seamlessly without, making it notice that you did go over on the other side of the line. This will give you some ideas of how you can suggest to the director, whether when if you're doing a fight scene, or if you're doing a chasing scene, to suggest doing a neutral shot so that you can go to the other side. I always, whenever I'm doing a chase scene with somebody running, or if there's a car scene, I always try and get a neutral shot in there somewhere, so that if the director finds himself going to the other side of the line, he always has something to cut back to in case, he gets into that kind of situation. All right. And if you have an example, put them in the comments and share it with us, so that we can, give some other people some ideas of what you came across when you had to cross the line. And there was one other thing I wanted to share with you. Did you notice something different in my ear? I had an earpiece in my ear for half of the time that I was recording this, and I didn't notice it until after I started recording this last little piece. And the reason I didn't go back and re-record everything that I did was because it was in my right ear, and also my glasses were kind of covering it. So if you go back to the beginning and you see a couple of my frames, you'll notice that I don't have anything in my ear. And then about halfway through, you'll see something in my right ear there. So and this is just a continuity lesson for you, so that if something like that happens, say wardrobe comes up to you and says, oh, you know what, he should have had his shirt tucked in and he didn't. It was out because we came back from lunch and he left it out. We should have tucked it in. Well, I'm going to look at the scene first. I'm going to say, you know what? We're here. We're right at his waist, and we never saw, the shirt untucked below. So we're fine. We're good. So even though there is a continuity issue, look to see if it really is seen in the shot, because if it's not seen, then don't worry about it. There's been times when I never even mentioned it to the director, because wardrobe or props or somebody will come to me and they say, oh, you know what, they moved this over, and I'll look at the scene. I'll say, you know what, in this shot you can't really tell, so don't worry about it. And I won't even bother the director with it. Okay, but you have to make that judgment call, because if it was something that was really, a change. Now, all this time that I've been shooting, I've had one ear, my hair over my right ear. If I all of a sudden started to do this, that would be a continuity error, right? Because it doesn't look the same as it did on all the other shots. So I just always make sure that, whenever I start out a video, I kind of try and match the same thing, so it looks like it's continuous, even though I'm chopping up this video in different ways. All right. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. And like I said, leave a comment if you have any questions on anything that we covered today. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, please. Hit the little bell, and that'll let you know when I have another video. And we'll see you on the next one.